Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Defining Discipline podcast. I'm your host, Scott. Defining discipline is a lifestyle, a mentality, and a brand. And within this podcast, we're going to focus on self-improvement as you follow along with me on my journey. We will also hear from special guests of all walks of life on this podcast and their remarkable journeys that led them to where they are today. That being said, today is day 43 of my journey. I challenged myself at the beginning of this year to run 365 days out of the year and to run 1,250 miles within that span. Last year was my first year running, and I was able to run, 176 days, and I was able to hit 1,000 miles that year. So this year I really wanted to step it up and try to push myself to hit these. Last year I was also able to run my first marathon ever with an unofficial time of 5 hours and 30 minutes. This year I challenged myself to run a 50K, and I'm trying to run it at that marathon pace that I ran last year. I also do have another marathon coming up at the end of the year that I'm also training for throughout this year. But that being said, let's kind of get you in on some other information. So for the month of January, I challenged myself to do the 100-mile challenge, and that was in honor of the American Cancer Society, where we raised $380 for that cause. After that, I decided that every month I'm going to do the 100-mile challenge in order to even hit my yearly goal. That's what I'm going to have to at least average out. And on top of the 100-mile challenge, I decided every month I will do a fundraiser. So for the month of February, I want to talk to you guys about my fundraiser. The month of February being Black History Month and me being from the Detroit area, I decided to do my February fundraiser for the Detroit Black Community Food Security Network, and to kind of let you guys know what they're about. They work to build self-reliance, food security, and justice in Detroit's Black community by influencing public policy, engaging in urban agriculture, promoting healthy eating, encouraging cooperative buying, and directing youth towards careers in food-related fields. This podcast being a podcast about changing my lifestyle and being kind of about health and exercise, and also about a healthy diet, I thought this would be a perfect fundraiser, and especially it being a local one in the Detroit area. So if you guys can, please make your donations. The fundraiser is running through my personal Facebook page, Scott Robert Slotnick. If you can, give it a like. If you can't donate, no big deal, but please, if you can, share it so other people might be able to donate and give some money. Currently, I think we're only at $40 raised. I set the goal for $200, but let's see if we can pass that, and let's get it done, guys. Other than that, though, I did run today already, and I did 6.8 miles is what I did today, and so I had 6.8 for today, and for the year, I am at a total of 159.5, and that means I only have 1,090.4 to go to hit my yearly total. Yeah, it's not too much. Don't worry about it. And for the month, I'm at 53.2 miles. So the 100-mile challenge, I'm already halfway done for it. Halfway through it for February. But I also want to talk to you guys about that. On February 2nd, I challenged myself to the God Bod Challenge. It being day 33, I decided to let you guys know a challenge that I think is a something that will produce a God Bod. It's kind of a play on the words of doing 33 miles per week, running 33 miles per week, while also doing 33 push-ups and 33 sit-ups every single day for 33 days straight. That is the God Bod Challenge. And for the God Bod Challenge currently, this week I am at 20 miles. I only have 13 more miles to go to finish that. And I did do my push-ups today, and I will put that at the end of today's episode. That would, today was day 11 of push-ups and sit-ups. Other than that, I don't want to keep you guys too much longer on this intro. Let's get right into today's episode. Episode 43. Yesterday's episode was blame, and I was kind of talking about how I know myself have done it, and how a lot of us like to put blame on other people instead of owning up to our own problems. And I thought today we'll kind of play off the blame thing of yesterday, but we're going to flip it because I've also been in this situation, and this is the exact opposite of blame. And we are going to talk about guilt. So, episode 43, guilt. Guilt is something that we all, I think we all have it. I know for sure I have had guilt in my life for things that I've done, and I've let it kind of deteriorate and destroy me and my mentality. And maybe some of the guilty things I have done throughout my life is what also contributed to me, possibly losing my confidence and me becoming this more introverted person, keeping to myself. And, a lot of regrets and a lot of shame came with that guilt. And I've held on to that guilt for a long time. And I brought this up about today's episode to kind of talk about yesterday's episode too, about blame, because yesterday's episode was about how instead of owning up to our problems, we like to blame others. Well, there's other people in this world that do the exact opposite, and they see everyone else's problems and they blame themselves for those problems, and they feel guilty, and they hold the guilt. They hold on to the guilt instead of blaming the other people that maybe actually deserve, or that is the cause to the problem. And that's not always necessary. Like I said, I've felt guilt and held on to guilt for a while from things that I've done, and it wasn't that necessarily the other person was responsible. But there's also a time when you hold on to guilt for too long and you can't develop as a person. I think the best thing about guilt is it's there to remind you not to make that same mistake again. And if you do make the same mistake again, clearly you didn't learn. But guilt is something that I've lived with, and for the longest time, like I said, it kept me stagnant. It kept me in the same place. It kept me angering in the same mentality that I was in beforehand. And I kind of had to own my guilt, but also kind of let it go, and to forgive myself, to move on in order to develop as a person. So if you ever come in a situation where you feel guilt and it's weighing on you, and you can't progress forward, and you can't get the things you need to get done because this guilt is the only thing that is on your mind, then maybe it is the time to try to forgive yourself so you can move on. But you don't forgive yourself. It's not that you do completely forgive yourself. It's not that you don't completely forgive yourself, but you always let that linger. So next time a situation like that arises again, you can always touch back and think back to it. But you never want to hold on to it for so long that it eats away at you, and you can't move forward. There's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of things. We're all human. None of us are perfect. And as well as the situation I was talking about, maybe you feel guilty for things that other people have done instead of just the things that you've done that you felt guilty about. Maybe you feel responsible and guilty that someone is heading a certain way, and you're blaming yourself. This could be the case of maybe parents with the direction of their children or go. Maybe their kids get hard into alcohol or drugs, and they feel responsible because they didn't raise them right, and they feel guilty. Or vice versa. Not vice versa, but another example would be maybe someone close to someone else, um, took their own life. And, a lot of the times people that are close to that person hold on to that guilt as maybe they could have done something more or they could have done something different. And, I don't know any I don't know everyone's, situation when things like this happen, but I do know you can't always hold on to guilt forever. And especially in some of those cases, if you really had no say in someone else's decisions, like yes, you may have done something that you think could have contributed to their decisions or all of that, but when it comes down to it, everyone does make their own decisions, and you can't hold on to the guilt and let that guilt destroy you for the rest of your life. Um, like I said, if it's something that you've done, or even if it is something that someone else has done that you are holding yourself accountable for, you know, like I said, yesterday was about owning up to the blame and quit blaming other people for your problems. Today is the exact opposite. It is about, um, you know, not necessarily owning up to your problems, but, realizing that you may be owning up to your problems too much and that you need to kind of let go. And in other situations, like I said, maybe you are owning up to other people's problems and you need to not necessarily point the finger, but let them take the blame, and you kind of relieve yourself of that guilt. Um, Guilt is definitely one hell of a thing. Like I said, I felt it. I've gone through it. We all go through it. We all make decisions in our lives that we do something, even if it's something stupid like a guilty pleasure. Maybe you feel guilty because you knew you weren't supposed to eat something today and you went out and you still ate it, and you feel guilty all day for it. I know when I'm in those situations, the best thing for me to do is to put in a lot of effort to make up for what I feel guilty for to begin with. As an example, for if you did eat something that you feel guilty for, something that I like to do when I do something like that is I make sure I work extra hard to make up for what I did. So when I eat like trash, as an example, I make sure I go out there and I bust my butt harder when I'm running and when I'm working out to try to make up for me, beating down my body. And it's kind of like a mental boost whenever you feel guilty for something. Like maybe you feel guilty. I feel guilty a lot when I sit around all day and I don't get a lot done. Maybe I'm playing on my phone, or maybe I'm watching some podcast on YouTube. Then I'll realize, 3 hours have gone by and I haven't got anything done. I'll start to feel guilty. And what a lot of people, including myself, do mostly in those situations is instead of taking that as a hint to make some progress towards something, usually you fall deeper into that guilt and you get more depressed and you let that guilt manifest. And that's where, you get that in that depressive state, and then things start to all just feel overwhelming and you can't get anything done. And it all starts just with the fact of the little bit of guilt that you've given yourself because you didn't accomplish what you needed to get done. That being said, guys, I don't want to keep you too much longer. I just know that you can't always let the guilt run how decide how you're going to move forward. I mean, yes, you should move forward, but you can't let it decide like, hey, you're going to feel guilty for this for the rest of your life. Eventually, you're going to have to be able to forgive yourself and move on, and that is the key. So today, for your daily discipline, it is to find that guilt that you've been holding on to for so long that may be holding you back, and try to forgive yourself for it. We all make mistakes. We all can make changes. We can all be different people. There's that old saying that, nobody changes, or, whatever the saying is, that, everyone's, you do it one time, you're going to do it again. That's not always the case. You can be a different person. You can be a better person. It starts with day by day work. And it really starts with letting go of that guilt that's been holding you back and telling you that you are not the person that you need to be. So for your discipline, it is to let go of this guilt, to figure out whatever guilt is holding you back, and to forgive yourself for it, guys. I want to thank you so much for listening. Yet again, today is day 43. It's been such a positive and fun journey. I actually wasn't really feeling it today. I got no sleep last night. I got up super early today and helped my wife do some things at 7 a.m. Barely got any sleep. I think I said I got 4.5 hours of sleep last night. I was super tired. Started working around in the basement, and then I came up and passed out in the bed for took a 2-hour nap, and woke up feeling like crap with a headache, and I did not want to run at all. And I was telling myself the whole time, you know what? I'm just going to go out and just do 1.5 miles today and just get it done and not do anything big. But then in my head, I realized I had 20 miles still to run in order to finish the week out. And I'm thinking, if I do just 1.5 miles today, I'm going to have to do 18.5 miles in the next 2 days. And I'm thinking, let's not do that to myself. Let's just get out there. Let's grind. Let's get it done. So I went out there. I did 6.8 today, and got me to the cusp. Like I said, I'm only 13 miles now out for my weekly goal. And yeah, guys, it's been fun. It's been tiring. Some days are motivating, some days I just don't want to do it, but I'm pushing myself to get this done. So I want to thank you guys so much for following along and listening. If you guys can, please, I know I say this every episode, but please just give us a like, a follow, and subscribe to us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You can find us on the streaming podcast platforms. Let your friends know, share it, tell everyone, especially people you think that might need their own motivation. They might see this and be able to see that I'm just some normal average guy that is, used to do a whole bunch of drinking and smoking pot, and now I'm running every single day of my life. Maybe they need that kind of story in their life to turn themselves around. So please share it. Let people know about it. Give it a like. Give it a subscribe. Give us a comment. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know if there's anything you want to hear us talk about. If you have any ideas for some guests you maybe want to see on the podcast, shoot that over as well. I'm going to be making some contacts here in the near future with a couple guests. I have about 10 that I personally know. I don't personally know, but I got 10 that I know I would like to have on the show to interview personally. So we'll see where that goes. But other than that, guys, again, thank you so much. Today is day 43. Thank you for following along. At the end of this right here, I'm going to add the push-ups and sit-ups to this video. And, stay disciplined, guys. I will see you tomorrow. Peace out. Have a good night. Hello, today is January 12th. Day 11 of the God Bod Challenge. 33 push-ups, 33 sit-ups a day. Day 11 done.